What do you think for those who aren't happy right now? Maybe they're listening and they're not
Mm,
happy with their financial situation.
mm,
What would you say would be the first few steps for them? Is there some prompts they could go through and write down first
mm,
to question or analyze beliefs? Is there should they look at their bank account and see how many revenue streams they have coming in? Should they look at
mm.
if they're should they invest in a coach? If so, what should they be looking at as
Mm.
action steps?
Um, I definitely think the best place to start is your thoughts, beliefs, and words. So I have an exercise that I love that just was so sobering for me back in the day. Have you ever done that one where you write a letter to money as if it's a person?
I'm not sure if I've done that exactly. I've written many letters to myself, future,
Uh-huh.
future self, past
Yeah.
self, but
Your
tell me this one.
spleen.
Yes.
Um, it's where you write a letter to money as if it's a person, and you do it very stream of consciousness, and you just let it rip, and it's so illuminating because most of us have such a push pull going on with money where it's like, of course, like if you handed me 10 grand, I'd be like, thank you very much. This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
awesome. But then we also feel dirty for pursuing money. We think rich people have no morals. We think we'll have to sacrifice the things we love. We think we'll lose friends and family if we get rich. We'll, you know, whatever. And so when you do it stream of consciousness and really treat it as if it's a person or a thing, it blew my tiny mind when I saw,
What happened to you? What were your
oh my God. Well, okay. So I had lots of I love you.
I
I
hate
wish I
you. I
had
love you. I want
pretty
more of
much.
you. Get out of my life. It was like a dramatic relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's an abusive relationship. And they say if you take the money out and you replace intimacy,
Ooh.
into like man or woman, whatever you're into, same Z's. Yeah, it's the whole thing. I mean, you got to be ready to be super humiliated if you're going to do any of this work. But mine was all, I love you. I wish I had more of you. I resent needing you. I don't trust that you'll stick around.
Ooh, man.
Like all that kind of stuff.
And how were your intimate relationships during that time?
Same,
I
same.
want you, but I don't trust you.
Yeah, really, my hair is still standing up. So that's a real doozy. And and then once you get all of your dirty laundry out on the page, then you can start questioning it. You know, like we were talking about before.
So how did you question personally what came up for you?
Mm,
And how did you
oh
yeah.
yeah.
Take me back, Jen.
Do we
Take me
have
back to the
to? I'm gonna
painful.
I'm gonna go pour a drink. I'll be right back. Um, you know, I don't remember. Okay, let me think
Was there
about
one
this.
thing that stood out the most where you're like,
Yes.
oh, I realize I've been
Okay.
doing this, and why would money ever come to me consistently because of
Mm-hmm.
this thought?
Oh my God, I'll tell you the biggest, just totally blew my mind. It actually wasn't from writing the letter. I know I had a lot of things with the letter, but the one that just brought me to my knees was I was at yet another coaching seminar in Las Vegas or something, and there was another brilliant coach speaking on the stage, and his fee for an annual, private thing was $85,000. And I was just like, I come from Italian immigrants. My dad came over, he's kept his money buried in the backyard. Like he had no idea what I was talking about with all this stuff. And I remember because I was hardcore and not screwing around, and I'd made that decision to figure out how instead of figure out why not. I was like, all right,
Hmm.
how am I going to get $85,000 to work with this man? And God, I feel like I'm going to throw up just telling you this. The thought of that, like opening myself up to that possibility. I mean, that's house money. That's like as irresponsible as it gets, right?
Yeah.
And the fact, just the mere act of opening myself up to that and making myself available to be somebody who would find 85,000.
And saying, if it were possible, how would I do it?
Yeah.
And so what did you
Oh my
discover?
God. Okay. I actually get a lot of my information through like quick visual visions.
Hmm.
And I had this image of my dad who's so sweet, and not the best at showing intimacy, but he loved me to death. And the way that he would show me was by giving me a 20
Mm.
or helping me with my rent that month or whatever. It was always through money is how he showed affection. And I had this image of him in his little yellow V-neck sweater, which I have now made kind of famous. But with his hands in his pockets, looking at his feet, so sad. Because if I got rich, I wouldn't need him anymore. And
Ooh.
that's what was holding me back.
Before the interview continues, if you feel like you're not living your most authentic life, not leaning into your purpose, and not living the life that your future self would be extremely proud of, I've written a new book called The Greatness Mindset, and I think you're gonna love this. Through powerful stories, science-backed strategies, and step-by-step guidance, The Greatness Mindset will help you overcome all the different challenges in your life to design the life of your dreams and then turn it into your reality. Make sure to click the link below in the description to get your copy today. Okay, let's get back to this video.
Really?
It was like, I literally, that vision like had slime on it. It's like I dredged it up from the bottom of my emotional swamp. Like it was so profound for me. It really blew my mind, and it changed a lot of stuff for me moving forward.
So when you came to realize that, did you, this was all just unconscious. You weren't even thinking about it before, but you knew
Right.
that's how you got love, and he was able to express love in that form by helping in some way, financially or something like that. So when you realized that, did you address him about it, or was it more about you addressing it with yourself and letting it go and realizing that he's still going to love you even if it's not through that way? What was that process like?
It was awesome. I started visualizing him being really proud of me, which he totally was, and being happy for me and feeling relief that I wasn't going to be, living in a gutter next week. And this was the biggest part for me, which I cannot believe I was able to do, because I have issues around this with my dad, but I still let him give me money. Because in the old days, I was like, you don't see who I am. I just told you I got $1 million for a book deal. Da, da, da. Like, you're not listening to me. But it's all he knew how to do. So I would tell him all of my great successes. And at the end of the conversation, he'd always be like, well,
You need some money?
you need $100. And I'd be like, sure, Dad, that'd be great. And it made him really happy. I was psyched to get $100.
Yeah, of course.
And it really healed our relationship. It was amazing on so many levels. And I think this is common for a lot of people. I think a lot of people don't realize that what's holding them back is they don't want to outshine their parents in some way.
Yeah, or their siblings or
It's abandonment. It's abandonment.
It's hard when you're like, I think there's a lesson in the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. I think it's maybe in that book, which is not saying we should live by this book because it's more about strategies of like war and power, but there's some good lessons. There's some amazing lessons in there. And one of them is, I think it's never outshine your mentors. Like always pay respect. Like you can do greater things, but make sure you're always paying respect to your mentors and not like belittling them once you surpass them type of thing.
God.
And so I think it's a figuring out how do we continue to let our star shine bright, but also continue to elevate the mentors that were there before us and give them the honor and respect.
Oh yeah.
You were able to heal that, you feel like, from that process of just discovery and awareness?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was so fun after that, like seeing how much joy it gave him to give me money. I was like, oh my God, that's so dear.
So you didn't stop receiving money even though you didn't from him, even though you were like, I don't need to feel loved and I don't need the money anymore. You didn't stop it because it allowed him to express his feelings and emotions and love for you, right?
But how much of a sacrifice is that for me? I mean, big whoop-de-doo. So it's just all he knew, so.
That's beautiful. What were the steps on how you got the 85,000? Or is that something you invested in or no?
Yeah, I did.
85,000, that's a lot of money for coaching. So you thought to yourself, there's no way I could do this, but then you started to shift and say, well, okay, if it was possible, how would I do this? What What did you do?
God. Well, I
love this
ended
process.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is why also I'm always screaming and yelling about you have got to do stuff that scares you out of your mind.
Scares you.
If you are not scared, you are on the wrong track. It is so important because if you tell yourself something over and over and over, it starts to create a new groove in your belief system and you start thinking differently. And if you take actions over and over and over, you start to believe differently. So I'm just going to say it can be whatever order you want.
That's true. And if you say it enough, you can start to shape a belief